Hey YouTube, coming at you with a improvise video. Now, I'm under no illusion that these eggs that were deposited in this cave are fertile or will survive. But let's say that you have a young male that manages to fertilize the eggs in a cave that a female has laid, and then he kicks those eggs out. And that happens pretty often, evidently, from L260s. The young males are not competent fathers yet. Their job is to sit in the cave and fan the eggs continuously and protect them from intruders or predators until the eggs hatch. And very often you'll get eggs laid that do not get protected or get kicked out of the cave. And in such a case, you should be ready, if you want to breed L260s, and a lot of plecos for that matter, to improvise a method to tumble the eggs. Now, you can buy an egg tumbler. Unfortunately, none of my stores are open at this moment for me to go buy an egg tumbler. So in this case, I'm going to improvise. And it's something that I think that all fish hobbyists should be ready to do at any case. Now, this is an old, very old, 20 plus, 30 plus years old vacuuming tube. You can tell by how yellowed it is that I have absconded with. I never threw it away, which is a good piece of advice for any fish keeper. Never throw this stuff away, because you never know when you're going to need it. But for an egg tumbler, we need a tube to hold the eggs, to give them a place to be tumbled, and we need aeration, if not flow, to give them a way. So what I've done here is I've taken a Gatorade cap, which just happened to perfectly fit the bottom of this tube, and drilled holes all the way around on it, and I've inserted an air stone. Now, the purpose of this is to draw water through the holes, which I've tried to drill smaller than the eggs themselves are, and pull water through those holes and create a flow inside the tube, which will keep the eggs tumbling. Now, this is not perfect. This is not by the book, but sometimes you get in a situation where suddenly you need something and you should be ready to create it. Now, I've also added, I need some way to stick this to the side of the tank so that it will stand upright and let the air come out of the top and the water come in through the bottom and keep the eggs tumbling in the tube. So I've zip tied a piece of 3/4 hose onto the side of it, and I've clicked a spare heater suction mount to it. Now that creates a way for me to suction this device that I've created to the side of the tank, and it should hold it upright enough for the air to go through the tube like it needs to. Now, one of the problems with eggs that have been kicked out is fungus, and in this case, fungus has wholly overtaken my eggs. So I don't think that I'm going to be able to save these eggs, but for education purposes, let's act like these were eggs kicked out of a cave by an immature male that does not know how to raise eggs yet. Breeding takes practice for our fish too. They're not perfect to begin with. They have to learn by trial and error, and some of them never learn, but most of them will eventually get it right. They lay eggs, they try to fertilize them, then they eat them. Or they lay eggs, they try to fertilize them, and then they don't want to finish caring for the eggs, so they kick them out. But through a process of trial and error, eventually they will get to a point where they can successfully raise fry. That's survival of the species, and it's ingrained in our fish just like it's ingrained in us. Now, because fungus has already attacked these eggs, we need to do something to give the eggs a fighting chance, and methyl blue is the chemical of choice to fight fungus. Now I have here a bottle of Aquasol. Now, any fish keeper that's been keeping fish for the past 30 or 40 years will know what Aquasol is, maybe 30 years. And it's probably gone past its expiration date, but I'm not sure if methyl blue has an expiration date. And so I'm going to use this 20-year-old bottle of Aquasol as if it were a new bottle of methyl blue, or any chemical concoction that is designed to treat fungus. So what we need to do is we need to get those eggs out of the tank and get them into a treatment pan to treat them with the methyl blue to stop the fungus if we can. So let's go about getting these eggs out. Now the beauty of small caves is that you can remove the cave if you've not placed it in such a way that it's too much work to get it out. This cave that these fish chose, or this fish chose, is actually pretty easy for me to extract. So I'm going to go in and remove this cave with its water and pour the contents into my container. Now I need to put the cave back. And because it was used once already, I'm going to leave it right where I had it, because I want them to use it again if possible. So, we now have a tiny clutch of eggs inside my container here. I don't guess you can see them at all. I'm going to restart and refocus on these eggs. Okay, so here we are focused on the eggs, and they've got a little bit of tank water with them. And I'm going to add a healthy dose of, that's way more than would be required for a normal egg defungusing. But these eggs are really fungus. Okay, so we've actually got some eggs in here that are obviously not viable. And we need to get them out because we don't want to tumble fungus eggs that are dead. And to do that, we need to break this mass apart. Now, it should be stated that it's pretty important that you not drastically change the water temperature of the water that the eggs are being treated in. The temperature should remain pretty much the same as the tank temperature is. And because of that, you need to do it pretty quickly. Or I guess you could keep adding more tank water. But for this purpose, we're just going to try to separate these eggs from the fungus and from the rest of the eggs that are fungused. And I'm not going to be very successful doing that because they are pretty much stuck together in a gelatinous mass. Okay, so we've gotten as much of the eggs clear as possible. They're so jelly-like, I'm afraid they're way far gone. But we need to add these eggs to our tumbler. And to do that, we need to get the top off of it and pour our eggs in. Again, I'm under no illusions that these eggs are going to hatch. But I'm trying my best to create a situation where you can see the things that you might need to do if you were suddenly faced with a situation like this one. And I've also added an air pump to the setup to try and blowing them right out of the tank already. I'm afraid I have. Well, I'm afraid I blew the eggs out of the top by putting high power air on it before it had a chance to start the tumbling process. Or at least that's what what seems to have happened. But you can see that if it had a chance to tumble before blowing the eggs out, that it would have slowly tumbled the eggs. And sometimes, as a fish keeper, we have to improvise. We don't really have a choice. We're stuck in a situation where suddenly we need to have something. And we can't really wait. So we have to go on what we have around us to create something that serves the need that we have. And for that reason, it's always good to have a big stock of fish supplies on hand, which in this case I should have had an egg tumbler, but I didn't. And so I needed to create one on the fly. And this is how I created one. Now it's not that functional, but it's functional enough to have saved L260 eggs in the process, and I've learned that I need to be very careful about how much pressure I put on that air stone to keep it from blowing the eggs out of the top of my improvised egg tumbler. Good luck, YouTube.